What's up, everybody?
Hey, Seattle, Washington. We're here at Signl Radio Studios filming another episode of Roots to Grooves.
Welcome along.
What's up, Jay?
What's up, Jesse?
Life, man. Life is good.
Life is good. Yeah, life is good. I like it right now.
We got good energy when this comes out right at the beginning of summertime.
Yeah. Riding a wave of content. I feel good about what we've been putting out with Signl lately, actually. So I'm kind of happy about that. It's been a long time coming, but you know, when this was recorded, we just put out our first studio tour with
Samurai Dell. Check that out on YouTube.
Yeah, I recorded an episode of The Drop, which at this point in time has passed through all the copyright censors, and it's in entirety 2-hour long mix. Let's see how long that lasts. I left it there for like a couple of days to see if any labels would strike down anything, but they've let it through. So I think maybe they're like checking it out and being like, yeah, okay. Hopefully, I like to think so.
This guy, Signl, in it to win it.
And Roots to Grooves, you know, we've been putting out these for a while now, and thank you to all the listeners on the podcast platforms that are checking it out.
Thank you all.
We've seen the listenership grow, and that's really good. It gives me a little bit more confidence. You know, I have confidence anyway. I don't care.
Jay was doing this when there was zero followers or listeners or anything.
Yeah, but it's nice to see that, you know, the things we're sharing out there have some sort of resonance, I think. I don't know. So
no, it feels good. Yeah. Sometimes it feels like you're living life and nobody cares, or there's nobody listening or paying attention.
Nobody listening.
No, but they are.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here to do, is bridge that gap between these people who we don't know and these people who we do know. Yeah. And that we're all human and we can all be super creative.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we're all here to learn and grow.
Yeah.
We're all trying to be in the present. Yeah. We're all in the middle of a process of life.
Yeah.
Just try to be here in the moment. And that's, I saw a quote the other day. It was, I don't know who said it again. I never remember who said quotes, but
I have some good quotes though.
So, but I like the quotes. That's the important part.
Yeah.
But whoever it was said, if you're trying to look for the fountain of youth, it's in the present. Actually, I think it was SZA.
Really?
Yeah.
SZA?
Like the artist.
Is that a rapper?
Yeah. Okay. Like SZA.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I just kind of discovered her too.
Okay.
I think she's a female artist, rapper.
Okay, cool. Very good.
Producer.
Yeah.
She's doing some stuff with Doja Cat right now, which is a super hot track that I love, Kiss Me More. I think it's a great track.
I'll have to check that out.
We'll play it. We'll play it after this episode. But that's not what we're talking about today.
Yeah. We're talking about Budos Band, the Budos Band.
The Budos Band.
From Staten Island, New York. And it's kind of interesting because our last episode was Kikugayo Mayo. Am I saying that correctly?
No.
Kikugaku Mayo.
Yeah.
Which was your suggestion, and you sent me that first, and then I sent Budos Band without really knowing anything about Kikugayo Mayo. And there's a lot of parallels, there's a lot of overlaps with like their inspirations and stuff like that. Mostly the fact that both of these bands listen to a lot of like 70s rock stuff, and have that kind of those influences and through not just what they listen to, but also like the music they're creating and how they're recording the music that they're writing, sort of thing. So I just, that was my observation of those two bands, kind of thing.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome to see when we can bridge the gaps between something that we didn't expect. Yeah. And I didn't know you were bringing this to the table. You didn't know who Kikugaku was.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's cool to see the similarities and the synchronicities.
Definitely, yeah.
Because Budos Band is great. And so what are these guys about? It's a big band.
Big band.
There's like 7 to 10 and 10 members.
Yeah.
There's bass, drums, and guitar. I mean, it's like it's Afrobeat, it's funk. Yeah. They're groovy, a little jazz, a little psychedelic, Afro soul kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just saying a bunch of words to kind of hopefully we can land on something in the middle there.
So All Music, big website out there, describes them as doom rock Afro soul big band with a 70s touch that joins musical universes from trippy psychedelia and Afro-funk to 70s hard rock and late 60s soul.
So like you said, there's some similarities with that psychedelic rock, with the era of music in general from like, late 60s to even early 80s kind of, but mostly like 70s, psychedelia and stuff like that. But what was interesting, like Hikagaku Moyo, like you said, between these two bands, they're in different generations as far as their age groups, I think. Budos Band, I think most of these guys are at least over 30 or 35. Most of them, I think, maybe 40 to 50 years old.
Yeah, I think they're at least a decade or more older.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just guessing, but I think they might be in technically different generations.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see different generations still extracting influence and inspiration from a similar period of music.
And in different sides of the world as well.
Yeah.
Budos Band being from America and Kikigomo being from Japan. But those similar sort of things, influences hitting them,
Yeah, so I mean, what, I don't know, you said something about something being dark, about their style of music.
Doom rock.
Yeah, because I wouldn't say it's most of their stuff isn't, it's mostly upbeat, but there is kind of a dark twinge to it.
It's definitely gritty and heavy and hard hitting.
It's heavy. Yeah, totally. They have a lot of big horns. They have a horn section in this band.
Yeah,
and they just come on really strong.
Yeah,
not a lot of it seems super delicate.
Yeah,
like these guys come out, and it seems like such a New York kind of style to do. Like they're just like, boom, we're gonna play some loud music that's upbeat.
Yeah,
that's fun. It's groovy.
Yeah,
got a little darkness twinge to it. Because I think some of them are like big fans of like Black Sabbath and some heavier stuff.
Yeah,
and then that's funneled into their style of music that Budos Band is doing.
Yeah.
Which is this Afrobeat retro rock kind of thing.
Yeah, I did get the chance to see Budos Band live in Seattle 3 or 4 years ago. They played at the Capitol Hill Block Party.
Nice.
Which for people that aren't here, don't know about, Capitol Hill is like a little neighborhood in Seattle.
Cultural hub,
not too far from downtown. And the Capitol Hill Block Party is this kind of 3-day music festival where they shut down like about a couple of blocks, and they have outdoor stages. They shut around the blocks that they shut down are also like kind of around a few music venues like Numos and Barboza, so they utilize those venues as well for some of the bands playing. And yeah, literally the year that they came here, it was like, that was the only reason I bought a ticket for Capitol Hill Block Party.
For Budos Band?
Yeah, I was like, Budos Band playing. I love their music. I got to go see them play. They played on the main stage. I think they headlined like a Friday night or something like that.
That would have been great.
And it was great. Yeah, they were just like doing it. I think they spent all of the day drinking heavily at oh shit, I forgot the name of the place. It's not the Central Saloon. That's here in Pioneer Square, but there's the other place in Capitol Hill there that we've hung out at a little bit. Divey bar kind of thing. Forget the name of it.
I know what you're talking about.
They used to have live music there back in the day, but they kind of stopped.
I can't think of the name either. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But yeah, they just hit the stage and they were just like, it was just
energy.
It was great. It was really good.
I wasn't there, but I'm just imagining.
Yeah.
From what I've seen on these videos of them playing and stuff, I mean, it's fun, it's groovy, it's loud, they're jamming.
Yeah.
And it's pretty hard hitting, and it's really fun, it's really good.
Yeah.
So I was pumped to learn about these guys.
Yeah.
Budos, I guess let's talk about where their band name came from.
I actually don't know that. Do you know?
Okay, I have a little thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess I'm not sure the timing of this because I thought they were going on. I think they discovered this when they were on tour already in Europe, and they were in Budos, France, and they were driving through. They're on tour, driving through, and there was a castle called Budos Castle, Chateau de Budos. And the negative release of that is on the backside of Budos 3 album artwork.
Okay.
Apparently.
Okay.
A picture of that castle. So I'm not sure they had already been a band, and I think they did have another name. So sorry, I'm going out of order, but they were called Los Barbados. Barbados.
Okay.
And it means the bearded ones in Spanish. And so that makes sense. We didn't describe it, but these guys are all like, they're almost kind of burly biker dude kind of looking guys. They all have beards.
Yeah.
They're always wearing black.
Yeah.
And then they play sick music and they drink and they don't care about what anybody thinks, but they're very respectful and cool.
Yeah.
Cool cats. So yeah, Budos Band, the bearded ones.
Yeah.
It's kind of loosely referred to, or it's referenced by Fidel Castro's revolutionary baseball team.
Oh, Budos?
Yeah, okay. That's what they were called.
Okay.
It was like, I think it was called Budos, like that was the team, Budos, or something. Or no, Los Barbados, sorry. So the Fidel Castro's baseball team was called Los Barbados.
Okay.
I hope I'm saying this stuff right. Yeah. I don't know if it's coming out right, but yeah. So I mean, weird. Fidel Castro's coming up early in this episode. I don't know why. I never knew he had a baseball team. Apparently.
Yeah, I didn't know. It makes sense, but. Yeah.
So anyway, there was a little bit of a discrepancy because they didn't want to be referenced to Fidel Castro. There was no connection there between. People were starting to ask about like the politics of, why are you called Budos? And here's Fidel Castro. And people were noticing some similarities, and they didn't want to have anything to do with the political aspect because they weren't trying to say anything, or they weren't referencing the team or Fidel Castro at all.
Yeah.
It was just the name of the castle and the city where they were, and they thought it was a cool name.
Right.
The bearded ones match up with their style and everything, so it sounded like a great name. They went with it, but then they shortened it to Budos instead of Barbados.
Yeah. Very good.
So yeah, that's the little story of how they got their name, I guess.
Very nice. Yeah, and they've known each other for a long time, so there's a lot of members in the band. So I don't know if we'll name check all of them, but a few of the key players in the band that pop up a lot in different interviews that you can see on YouTube, and that is Brian Profilo, who's the drummer, Thomas Brennick on electric guitar. Daniel Fodder on bass guitar. I want to mention Thomas Brennick a little bit, the guitarist, because so Budos Band is signed to Daptone Records, which is out of New York, and they've had a illustrious is the right word, like a recent illustrious history of putting out consistently funky, great music. And Thomas Brennick has been heavily involved in a lot of those different releases kind of thing. He is like the main guitarist in Budos Band, but he also plays in Mannerheim Street Band, which is another like funk piece. Mannerheim Street Band.
Not Anaheim.
No, not Anaheim. Mannerheim.
Cool.
Yeah. And I think a lot of those players from both Budos Band and Mannerheim Street Band were the backing band for this guy called Charles Bradley, who was like this undiscovered soul singer talent who Daptone discovered, and he's like an amazing soul singer. He like put out 2 or 3 albums, I think. He passed away unfortunately a few years ago, but he was sort of, when he was putting out these albums with Daptone, he was already like in his 50s kind of thing. And he's got that James Brown, Curtis Mayfield, just raw power, soul kind of voice and vibe about him kind of thing. And so, yeah, these guys, and especially Thomas Brennick, was like heavily involved in putting out those records kind of thing. And so, yeah, that was just kind of a side note on a couple of the members there sort of thing.
Yeah, because some of them, there's like kind of a main 7 or 8 band members that are kind of consistent, and then there's like 3 or 4 or 5 that kind of loop in and out depending on their time.
Yeah,
is what I'm understanding. Does that sound about right?
I think so. Yeah.
So kind of similar vibe in general, a little bit to Snarky Puppy, who we talked about.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Who that episode must have come out a week or 2 before this one will come out.
Yeah.
Because we're here in the past. Yeah. In reference to the listeners listening right now.
Yeah.
So welcome to the past, folks. And we're gonna go back to the future at some point, but right now we're here.
We're gonna go back in time. What was that? Is that song? Is that the song?
I don't know. Sounds good though.
From Back to the Future movie. Yeah.
I don't know. Good movie though.
Good movie.
But I was saying like it's kind of similar to Snarky Puppy. How they have a lot going on.
I think anytime you have a massive lineup like this, you have a few core members and then a few sort of players, like horns and percussionists that come in and out, sort of thing.
Yeah, probably depending on how much they're getting paid for the gig, where the gig's at, how big the venue is.
Yeah.
All these things kind of affect that, I'm sure. I don't know. It's just kind of a play it by ear kind of thing. But some of their music is kind of, it reminds me of blaxploitation films like we were talking about in the Adrian Young episode.
Yeah.
It's kind of like super funky, super groovy, instrumental.
Yeah.
and based out of the kind of late 70s psychedelia and retro rock kind of vibe.
Definitely.
So like really cool stuff. I feel like that kind of paints a picture for me.
Yeah.
Kind of lays it down nicely, like similar music to that. So really good music is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And so like their first album, self-titled, The Budos Band, came out in 2005. But to sort of backtrack a little bit, like a lot of these guys knew each other like a full decade or more before that point in time. I think some of them said they kind of knew each other in the mid to late 90s. One of the stories is around the drummer, Brian Purcell. He said a lot of the members, before they were members of the band, were at some party kind of thing in someone's house in New York. And
it was a big jam session, right?
Yeah, and I think also they were like spinning like Metallica songs just on CD sort of thing. And Brian was just like air drumming to this track called Helpless by Metallica. And then one of the guys came up to them and said, "Oh, do you play drums?" And then it was like, "Do you want to jam sometime?" kind of thing. And that's kind of like the genesis of how that got together. And then like a few of those guys sort of got together and started jamming. And I think another time was like when they were at a show for this New York band called Anti-Ballast, which are another like Afrobeat kind of band, pretty big in New York. They do a lot of good stuff as well. Probably another band worth talking about. And so like a few of the members from Budos Bands, before they were Budos Band, were at an Anti-Ballast show, and again sort of talking about how they should jam sometime kind of thing. And
the way I understood it was that Anti-Ballast was hosting a jam session.
Yeah, I think that's
And so some of the Budos guys were friends.
Yeah.
A bunch of people were invited.
Yeah.
And Budos wasn't a thing yet.
Right.
But they had an opportunity to get in the same room and play together.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if these stories are exactly the same night or if they're, we're talking about like 10 or 15 people meeting each other and forming a band. So
exactly.
There's a lot of different connections. But I mean, as I understood it, they kind of had a jam session. They kind of met up and they saw what each other can do. And they're like, "Hey, I want to play music. We should start a band." Yeah. And so just, again, forming connections. And like you said, that's kind of the genesis of these guys meeting and starting their career, which has been going on for how long now? A couple decades.
Yeah.
And like now they all, they're based out of Staten Island, but now two of them moved to LA. So a couple of them are on the West Coast, and they have families now.
Yeah.
And they've been making albums, coming out with stuff, good stuff, consistent stuff.
Yeah.
And playing shows, like you said, they would play a show in Seattle even.
Yeah. But so back in the day when they started jamming, Brian Purcell, the drummer, did say that they called themselves Schlitz 36, and there was like 12 of them, and they were all in like the neighborhood in New York. And it was basically, it sounded like an open jam session once a week where they said anyone with any talent at all could show up and just get involved. And they said there were like rappers there and musicians. And they said people would just grab pots and pans and just join in kind of thing. And like, sounds like a great sort of party kind of thing. And
I think this was fun.
I think this was in the mid 90s. Yeah. Like all that was kind of going on.
But
back to what you were saying. They sort of progressed and, got together. And you already gave a bit of backstory about their name and how that came about, sort of thing. Like,
I just
changed from.
I'm failed on my research. I can't fit that story to how they got to the castle as a band and naming themselves Budos Band.
Right.
But there's some little bit of information in between that I didn't get to apparently. But somehow, some way, they formed a band and formed a bond.
Yeah.
And now they're basically brothers.
Yeah.
Like they're really tight knit. They move, like I said, they move away and they still come back together. Similar to like Kikagaku Moyo. So it's super cool to see people moving away, but still able to be a part of the same project. And that shows how much it means to them and how much they want to be a part of it and how much it means for them, what it does for them in their lives.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think like also they said like, so when they started out, they were really trying to make like Anti-Ballast type style of music.
They were pretty inspired by them.
Yeah, pretty inspired by them and trying to create this Afrobeat, Afro-funk thing. And they said their first few tries at it, they said were kind of bad and it wasn't really coming together. I think but they wanted to pursue that sort of sound, so they really sort of took a step back, and I was like, well, how can we make this better, kind of thing. And I think they sort of got a little bit more structured again in like how they were sort of arranging the jams that they were coming up with, and sort of formulating the arrangements a little bit more to sort of create the songs, sort of thing, and the grooves and all that.
So I kind of noticed it seemed like, did they start more towards that Afrobeat kind of thing, and they kind of moved away from that a little bit, into more of a, what would you call it, like just less Afrobeat, more
well, so
more Ethiopian jazz kind of, or that doom.
Well, so they said they sort of started from the Ethiopian jazz and Afrobeat funk stuff kind of thing, and also like their influences as they've been on the road touring throughout the years has been listening to a lot more sort of obscure 70s rock bands kind of thing. So that Black Sabbath era, but sort of bands around that era that most people haven't heard of or whatever. And so, like, I guess so one thing that I think the horn player said, it might be Andrew Green, I think, or it could be Jared Tankle, I'm not sure, one of those guys. He said he found this blog called Cosmic Hearse, cosmichearse.blogspot.com, and he said he just basically, and there's this one guy that made this blog, and he was the guy that made this blog was all about like archiving and blogging about all of these obscure like 70s rock bands kind of thing, and uploading a few of the tracks. And so the guys from Budos Band were like just trawling this blog and downloading like clips and finding the sounds from elsewhere and making these compilation CDs. And then as they'd be on tour, they'd be like just basically listening to that music on the road in between, like going to venues and stuff like that. And so they said that kind of like influenced their sound moving forward, where they're sort of keeping that sort of funk essence kind of thing, but doing things more heavier in a sort of rock sense, especially live. Like they said, one of their albums, I can't remember which one it was. I think it was either Budos Band 3 or Burnt Offering. They said it was the recorded version, they said, sounds lighter than how they played it live, because it was around that time they were getting into that sort of heavier way of doing things. And so they said they performed the album live heavier than it sounded on the recording kind of thing. And also they said about that, like with Daptone, like they said that the label was kind of in the early days guiding them a little bit more in terms of like the sound and how it should be engineered, and even like names of songs and stuff like that. And they said at a certain point when they got like quite a bit of success, they said the label just took a back seat and it was like, you guys are good,
okay, just keep going,
do what you want, and
cruise control.
And so that's when they sort of took on some of their like latest albums, or like even with the artwork and all that is like kind of, it seems like 70s like hard rock, but they're still funky as shit. So,
like, no, 100%. One of the things I love about them is the guitar in the band, and because they do groovy and funky stuff, and they're doing stuff like kind of Black Sabbath, Metallica, like playing the same line on the bass and guitar, following that, just making kind of a heavy riff kind of vibe, and then they'll do like different dynamic stuff where it breaks down to just like a light little backbeat on the drums, like the dynamics go down. It's just like a little drum beat in the back, but then the guitar is doing kind of like it's doing a little motif or whatever, and it just sounds super cool. Like it's rock.
Yeah,
it's not funky necessarily. It's not groovy, but for this, at least this one little section, it's just like it sounds like a cool, more rock kind of vibe, and I just love it. And then it comes like the horns come back in, and it gets groovy again, and I'm like, whoa, these guys are cool. I love how I mean Ethiopian jazz, Afro funk, and then mixing like Black Sabbath inspiration. Cool stuff.
Yeah.
So it hits hard for me when the trumpets come in, the horn section comes in. It's just very like they're like bright and heavy, but they're dark and like emotional. Yeah. And it's good. This band is really great. Yeah. Thanks for bringing them to the table today.
Definitely.
But I guess before we get into too much other stuff, want to play a track off one of their albums?
Yeah.
I think you got one loaded up.
I have many. So I started up with a track, I think it was the first track from their first album called Up From the South. Just a great intro, straight in right there, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Let's play a little bit of Budos Band 2, the second album, obviously.
Yeah.
Chicago Falcon.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, undeniably funky. It takes me back to like some 70s movie.
That's what I'm saying. It feels like you're in the 70s, like strolling down. You put your sunglasses on, like you just got a new job or something. You're pumped.
Yeah, and there's a car chase with those old cars from the 70s around New York.
Yeah, like a guy with an afro with some shades on chasing you down, like guns out the window, guns blaze. I mean, it sounds like it's blaxploitation music. It sounds like in a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yeah,
you know, it's lively.
That's what someone made a quote about that. They said they sound like if Tarantino was just like given the reins to like make some soundtrack or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they've been put in a movie.
I'm sure like a few of their songs have been used here and there in different movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't look too much into that where they were, if they've been referenced or sampled or anything like that, or synced up with a movie or anything.
I know for the Mannerheim Street Band, the other group associated with this group, the Jay-Z has sampled Mannerheim Street Band.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Okay, and I know he's also sampled Adrian Young off.
Exactly, yeah.
Off of, for Magna Carta.
Yeah.
I think. So, I mean, so cool. It's really cool to see these little things come together.
Yeah.
And see all the connections. That's like my favorite thing about talking about all these different bands. There's like always a connection between another band we talked about.
There always is somehow.
It's weird, unexpected, and I never have the idea until we get on the show, and I'm like, oh, it's like this, or something, one way or another.
Well, the other thing about the Budos Band as well is I think they record in it's Daptone Records studio, which is like the studio of Daptone's record label. And the thing about that studio is it's all fully analog. Like they record all to tape, and they use all these old microphones and old techniques from back in the 70s.
No computers.
No computers. I think I even saw like a video at some point, and I think it was a bit of a jokey sort of video, but like the engineer was wearing like a white lab coat kind of thing. But I think it's
that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's like I think there was sort of joking about it, but also I think that it's like part of their aesthetic, like sonic aesthetic, as it were, sort of thing. Because if you think about like the early days of recording music, like those people were actually considered engineers, you know, which is why the term engineer is still used to this day. But back then, the gear was so technical, and it was all these dials and everything. It literally looked like a science experiment.
No screens, no interfaces, just a box with knobs.
These grey boxes with like big knobs that they were like, you know, like recording sound.
If I lived back in that day, I probably would have never gotten into music because I would just like, I don't know what.
How do you do that?
How do I record stuff?
Yeah.
Or something, you know.
Yeah, so I think that's like, you know, that is an approach that was behind like recording these albums as well, and you can hear it. Like you just listen to these tracks we're playing, and you can hear it.
You can hear that warmth from the tape.
The warmth,
like that's a huge part of like their sound. I feel like that gives it that really kind of gritty, real feel.
Yeah,
and it really, I don't know, just kind of transports you to that time period where they're kind of being inspired from.
Yeah.
And it's super cool. So like, some similarities to like Adrian Young, how he also has a studio in LA that doesn't use any computers.
Yeah.
And I mean, that just blows my mind every time I think about it.
Yeah.
So they also try to use different, like similar techniques that they used back in the day on these old records to make them sound really cool. And they're using the horns, they like shared microphones.
Yeah.
Not everything specifically mic'd up, but they just got their horn players or their whole horn section around one or two microphones.
Yeah.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, most of their stuff is recorded live.
Yeah, I think so.
Like almost all of it is recorded live band style.
Capturing that live
there's
performance and raw energy in the room sort of thing is part of the,
And the raw bleed from the different instruments going into the different mics.
Yeah.
Just piling on that. Just like icing on a cake of ambience.
The imperfections.
Yeah.
That used to be sort of, you know, they were trying to erase those imperfections in older recordings, but like now people were starting to utilize those as a technique to capture that same sort of sound as they had back then. It's funny that happens, like mistakes at the time where people were trying to make things.
They were trying to avoid that bleed.
They're trying to avoid it.
And stuff, and now people are like, how do we get that bleed? How do we get a worse?
Yeah.
How do we get it to sound like that?
Yeah, because I don't know if you've noticed, like on like some old recordings, you can hear like the tape hiss or like the cut between like a new take kind of thing. Like I've heard this on a few, like there's this artist called David Axelrod, who was like a big arranger, producer, composer back in the 60s, 70s. DJ Shadow sampled him a lot. And like if you listen to some of his old recordings, David Axelrod recordings, you can hear like the tape just go and then like there's the singer and then it gets all quiet. Then you can hear like a clip, like how like they're like cutting into a new take sort of thing.
Like literally like the mechanics of the I don't know, not instruments, but like electronic devices that are being used to record, like mechanically working. Like you can hear that caught on tape, literally tape.
Yeah,
cool.
Which is like, I mean, for me, part of the sound of it, the draw of it, like that thing. Yeah.
I mean, it's like on tape, and you're probably literally hearing tape on the tape because they cut something and then literally tape it together.
Yeah.
I mean, just insane. Like it sounds so archaic.
Yeah.
Yet people are still doing it today. It's 2021.
Yeah.
So what does that say? You know, it's cool. They were doing something right, and people respond to that and love it still.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, it's working for them. So it's cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So,
what else do I got? But yeah, I mean, all analog tape. They're going for that live feeling of the recording. And I mean, that's the sound that old analog records have, and that's what they're going for. And I think they're achieving it really well because you can just hear it right off the bat. And that's why it sounds like, are we in the 70s right now? Like, oh no, we're not.
Have you listened to much Black Sabbath?
No, I've never really been too into music like that.
Yeah, me neither, but I kind of want to play a little bit to see what's going on. To see if, because we've talked about Kikugo and Maya Oh my god, Kikagaku moye.
That's a word. That's
I can't say that fast.
It's not a normal word in our
no
vocabulary.
And means geometric patterns, right, in Japanese.
Yeah, nice.
By the way. And and Budos Band, they both referenced Black Sabbath a lot. And I haven't really listened to, obviously, Ozzy Osbourne being the main guy in that. I just kind of want to see if we can hear any parallels of any sound, maybe. Just a little clip.
I'm excited. Let's see what you got.
I'm just going to play one of the most popular ones that's coming up here. Iron Man, Black Sabbath. Had to let it roll there. Black Sabbath, Iron Man. I do recognize that riff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you ever heard that song?
I think probably not all the way through, like for a long time, like or if ever. But I've heard that track.
Yeah, I mean that's like the first song any guitar player learns how to play.
Oh yeah, really?
Like
did you learn how to do that?
Yeah, I mean that's like literally just simple power chords, like not even the full power chord with the octaves, like just the root and the fifth.
Right.
Dun 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 dun. Because it's pretty simple.
That's probably where I've heard it most. A guitarist in a studio playing.
Yeah. If you've ever been to the Guitar Center or something, you probably hear it. Those guys probably hear it every day. Actually, I think they have some. There's some. I think at Nam. Have you heard of that? Like the guitar.
Yeah. Convention type
yeah. I think it's usually in LA. I don't know if they have other ones anywhere else, but in LA, the one I'm talking about.
Las Vegas as well.
Maybe, yeah. I'm not sure, but I think you're not allowed to play. I think it's like Stairway to Heaven.
Stairway to Heaven. Yeah.
It's like they're like you don't even pretend to play it. Like we're gonna shut you down.
Well, did you ever see Wayne's World? I think that's the whole joke in there. He like I think. Garth goes into like the records, or it might be Wayne in the record store, and he's like starts to play Stairway to Heaven, and then the camera pans, and there's like a sign, and the guitar shop guy points to it, and there's like no Stairway to Heaven.
Okay, so is that perpetuated by that joke? Because it's in reality now, and that movie came out in what, the 90s or even late 80s?
Yeah, that one came out in the 90s. I think they were riffing off of a joke that already existed.
But now it's just become reality.
Yeah, like it was like that's what guitarists learned how to play. It was Stairway to Heaven kind of thing, and then
Okay, that makes sense. That's awesome. That's cool. Because it seemed, because I watched a YouTube video and it was like I'm gonna go to all these different guitar places within Nam and like just jam out and play, like ask questions, but then he'll like start to play Stairway to Heaven and see what they do, and he's filming it, and they'll like grab the neck of the guitar, like
really.
Like, you can't play that one. Like they're serious about it now. So even if it came from a joke, it's dead serious.
That's funny.
But yeah, I mean, great. So I was thinking at the beginning of that song, it sounds like Budos Band if like the vocals were trumpets and horns.
Yeah.
Like and then I feel like that would kind of give you a little bit of that.
Yeah.
The mixture of the two, and you can it put together those pieces of the puzzle in my head, at least.
Yeah.
When I heard that.
And for me, like as a drummer as well, like I love the sound of the drums that they had back then, because like that's like rock music back in the 70s, but you can hear like there's a tight sound, like a dead sound to the drums.
Yeah, they're dead,
and the kick is like really like soft, and all of the tom sounds are really like rounded, like sounding wise, EQ wise, and all that. And it makes me think like about like rock music today, sort of thing. Like how would these bands have sounded now if they had like clear, pristine like audio recording quality? Would the records have been as inspiring or as interesting with modern day recording techniques versus what they had in the 70s? Like, I think it's part of the sound, right?
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I think, I don't know if that song would have ever been written if like Ozzy Osbourne just like came into a nice pristine studio with Pro Tools and was like, hey, come up with something.
I'll just do every syllable and you can stitch it together, right?
Yeah. I am iron.
And then put it through a vocoder. I don't care. Whatever. I'm just gonna drink some vodka in the corner here.
Yeah. No. Exactly. He would. Exactly. I don't think it would have happened.
No.
And I think I don't know. Like I don't really believe in like everything happening for a reason.
You don't believe in everything happening for a reason?
I don't know what I believe. I think about it a lot. I'm trying to figure it out. But I think like I always go back to I know that everything is energy. That's the one thing that I kind of know. I feel like at least.
Yeah.
Like literally everything is vibrating.
Yeah.
And it literally is energy, and it's mostly empty space
that we're filling with our energy.
Yeah. And we're manipulating and changing it. And for that reason, if you had an experiment in like a vacuum and you thought something would happen, you ran an experiment, it would probably happen how you thought it would based on the physics that we know. And like we do computer models to see like our weather patterns and stuff, like what would happen if we just let Earth go for 5 years. Here's what we think would happen. and the models aren't always correct, which is why it's hard to predict weather. But there are models that can show us what things are going to happen in the future to an extent, and not just weather, but other things.
Yeah.
So it's like, it almost seems like once you set something in motion, you're kind of setting a whole, butterfly effect of things that will happen no matter what, since you sent that in motion, whether it's your intention or not, And I don't know, this isn't like science, this isn't a science podcast, but I'm just saying, like, once, like, he wrote that riff in his room maybe or something, and then took it to the studio, and all the sounds were sounding good, and it sounded raw and live, and we got Iron Man that we know today.
Right. Yeah.
But maybe that wouldn't have happened if Ozzy Osbourne lived in a nice, big, rich household with his rich parents. I don't know. I don't even know his story. But I'm just saying, if he went to a nice studio, maybe that would never have been written the same way.
Well, I think it was different back then, right? Because bands like Black Sabbath that got together, like, they weren't recording anything when they first started writing these songs. Like, there were bands in rehearsal rooms writing these songs and playing them live, and they didn't get to record them until, like, later down the line, when maybe they got a deal, and then they had to go into the studio and, like, lay these things down, sort of thing. Then it becomes different throughout their career. Once they've done that for a couple of albums, then they have the luxury of being in a studio and writing in the studio and doing it that way. But I think, like, originally, like, it's like, and I don't know where Black Sabbath were in their career when that song came out.
For sure, and there's an endless amount of variables, but exactly to what you're saying, if he just started dun 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 into Pro Tools and then had all the options to do
put it on loop,
midis and synths, like, I just looped it, it would just turn into a different song. Not the vibe and that energy that we know as Iron Man today.
Exactly.
Wouldn't have that same resonance with the musical world. But who's to say? We don't know that. We don't know one way or another.
And I think that's like why bands like Budos Band like to do the live approach and the analog approach, because they're inspired by these things, and then they're also trying to recapture that energy, that sound, and they know that you just can't do that with modern stuff, like Adrian Young as well. Like the type of music he's trying to create, if he just went purely into the computer and was looping things, you're not going to be creating that same energy, vibe, groove, whatever.
It would be really interesting to see, like, they recorded Budos Band album and they record it live like they do in reality, and then take that same all the information, the music, and re-record it, but instrument by instrument in Pro Tools or whatever DAW, and record each horn by itself, record the bass by itself, everything in isolation. And then put it back. I don't know if it would have the same energy as that live version does. And it wouldn't carry as much of the emotional resonance that it does with the way they do it. Who's to say? Because most bands don't do stuff like record an album one way and then record the same exact album to the T as far as all the parts go, but record it in a different way. You don't get to see that because that's basically like an experiment.
I think the closest you get to that is like live albums, right? Where they just have the whole band playing and they record it and release it, sort of thing.
So I mean, it can be done. It depends. It depends on the specific music. What energy you're trying to create. What you're being inspired from. So it's who's to say. That's what keeps it super interesting, and that's why music is constantly a conversation that's going back and forth between everybody. Which is what makes it cool and what makes it live. What makes it human, Jay.
Love it. And so should we close out?
I mean, that's all I got on Budos Band pretty much. Unless we have anything else. I mean, these guys rock.
They rock. And, some of the latest stuff is heavier, so I've heard. And so I'm going to play out on one of those tracks from their latest stuff. I think Long in the Tooth, from the album Long in the Tooth
2020,
which came out in 2020, which I haven't heard too much about. I was like, sort of, when I first discovered them, I was definitely on the first couple of albums, sort of thing.
And to what you said before, they on all their album covers, they do kind of keep that metal kind of vibe of like metal bands, kind of keeping a dark
Yeah.
And some of it's even cartoony.
Yeah.
Which, or I don't know, CGI, whatever you want to call it. But I've seen, like, Black Sabbath, Megadeth, or whatever, these other kind of darkish, heavy bands have this crazy artwork with skeletons and flames and stuff. And these guys have a volcano on one, a scorpion on another one, a cobra, a ship.
I still get shivers when I see the Cobra one. I think that's their album, the Budos Band 3. Snakes. Well, here's the thing. You have a pet snake that I just found out about because you have this empty container. What do you call? Not a container. His housing.
Yeah. Aquarium.
Yeah. I think
there's even a better word, but yeah.
Yeah, but snakes.
Terrarium.
Terrarium. Yeah. Snakes kind of creep me out a little bit, but
that's fair. A lot of people know that, or they feel that, but I think a lot of people haven't been introduced to snakes.
Yeah,
most people haven't even held a snake, maybe.
No,
but like I look at my snake and he's cute.
Right,
like he's cute.
We have a small one. I haven't seen it, but was it him?
I don't know for sure. Actually, you have to tell. You have to go to like a vet,
really,
and they have to like stick a thing up his butt to find out what like his genitals are or whatever.
Wow.
And I've never.
But what's your snake's name?
Senor Bob.
Senor Bob. So you assumed he was a man.
Yeah, but, I was just like, I'm a man, you're a man.
But he's a thin snake.
He's like that big around. He's not that big.
Okay.
He's like 4 feet long, something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
He's like orange and spotted.
But would you be scared of like a big cobra, like holding a big cobra?
I mean, yeah.
You would.
I mean, that guy has fangs.
Yeah.
And poison.
Yeah.
And just is much more menacing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a venomous snake, so he'll bite you.
Yeah.
My snake will bite you, but there's no venom.
Right.
But he's a constrictor, so he'll wrap around small prey. But he's not big enough to wrap around a person or anything like that. So there's no
fear of that.
It's not Snakes on a Plane. Like it's movies like that freak people out.
I haven't seen that movie, but I don't think I could handle it either.
Snakes are not that smart. Their brains are tiny.
Okay.
And so people think that snakes are like conscious and lucid. Like, oh, there's Jay. I'm gonna go bite him because I don't like people.
Right.
I'm gonna go after you. Yeah. But like basically they're almost blind and they see with their heat sensors. So they're just searching for heat patterns. Yeah. And then, if you don't smell like a mouse or something, then he's not gonna like attack you and try to bite you just for fun.
Oh, man, I better change my perfume.
Yeah. Put my mousey. Get a Mickey Mouse.
Mouse Dior. That's what I wear.
Hey, do you, man. That's cool. I support you either way.
But I think like in terms of like sound and all that, like you see this venomous snake on the album cover and you get a certain vibe from what it's going to sound like. No, I mean,
he's got his, I think it translates nice because the snake is like his hood is open, his mouth is open, his fangs are out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they bring with their music. It's kind of on the edge.
Yeah.
It's kind of edgy, like not edgy, like cringy edgy, but it's, like that dark kind of doomy heaviness from their inspirations comes across. Yeah. And they have really good music that's like kind of hard hitting and stuff. And it's really fun and groovy and stuff. And so it hits me in that kind of venomous.
Yeah.
The venom soaks into my blood through their music. Yeah. Something like that.
Well, they had that track Black Venom as well. Was the name of the track on the album.
Yeah, so there you go.
But yeah.
My blood runs black. My blood runs Budos.
And I guess the last thing I have to say about these guys is they're like a funny group of people. If you've ever seen any interviews with them and all that. But yeah, they seem like hardcore, like biker rocker dudes kind of thing that just like to drink hard and tour music and tour the world and play funky
and just be badasses,
gritty music.
Yeah,
and it's just kind of funny. Like they're just,
But they're like nice family guys.
Yeah.
Like they now have families.
Yeah, they're married. They have
kids. And they're still burly and they wear black and they have beards.
Yeah, and
their music's dope.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I got though. I mean, check these guys out. Start anywhere.
Yeah, start anywhere.
Start anywhere. I don't even have one to start with for you guys. Like these are all good.
Just listen to anyone and
really consistent.
Definitely like the first 3 albums are like real funky for me, and
and then go on from there, because these guys are it's nonstop. It's all good.
So let's I'm gonna play out this one from the latest album, Long in the Tooth.
Cool.
And we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Roots to Grooves at signalradio.com.
Yeah, hit us up if you have.
Yeah.
Oh no,
I was gonna spell it out. SIGNL radio.com.
Yeah, hit us up with any fun facts.
Yeah.
Any corrections, or if you just want to say what's up. And we say this every episode until it happens, because Jay is going to give a bag of cash to the first person who emails us.
Yeah.
Could be you.
It could be $1. It could be $5,000.
We just know that there's going to be cash.
There's just going to be a bag of cash. Yeah.
So sounds good to me.
Could be that chocolate money you get at Christmas or something.
Some chocolate coins.
Yeah, chocolate coins. Yeah.
No. There's at least a real dollar bill. Come on.
All right. Catch you next time.
Budos Band out. Thank you, guys.
Roots to Grooves is a production of Signl Radio. For more music and independent culture, visit signalradio.com. That's signl radio.com.